In May 2014, the tranquil shores of Lake Oconee, Georgia, were shattered by a crime that would send shockwaves through the community and beyond. Russell Dermond, an 88-year-old retiree, was discovered brutally murdered in his lakeside home. His body, found in the garage, bore the marks of unimaginable violence. But it was the gruesome detail that his head had been removed and was nowhere to be found that truly horrified investigators and residents alike. The nightmare wasn't over. 10 days after Russell's body was found, his wife Shirley's lifeless form was pulled from the depths of Lake Oconee. Her body had been weighed down with concrete blocks, a chilling testament to the killer's determination to conceal their heinous act. The Dermonds' home showed no signs of forced entry. Nothing of value had been taken. The lack of an obvious motive only deepened the mystery surrounding these brutal murders. As news of the double homicide spread, the peaceful community of Lake Oconee found itself thrust into the national spotlight. The serene waters that had once been a source of tranquility now held dark secrets, and the lakeside homes that dotted the shoreline no longer felt like safe havens. Local law enforcement, overwhelmed by the complexity and brutality of the crime, called in the FBI. Federal agents descended upon the small Georgia town, their presence a stark reminder of the gravity of the situation. Investigators combed through the Dermonds' lives, searching for any clue that might lead them to the killer. They interviewed friends, family, and neighbors. They scrutinized financial records and delved into the couple's past. But every lead seemed to end in a dead end. The community rallied together, holding vigils for the murdered couple and offering support to the grieving family. But beneath the surface, fear and suspicion began to take root. If someone could commit such a horrific crime in this quiet lakeside paradise, was anyone truly safe? As months turned into years, the case of Russell and Shirley Dermond became infamous, not just in Georgia, but across the United States. True crime enthusiasts pored over the details, spinning theories and speculating about potential suspects. But despite the public interest and the tireless efforts of law enforcement, the killer remained elusive. In 2024, a decade after the murders, a glimmer of hope emerged. New DNA evidence was discovered on Russell's clothing, reigniting the investigation. But even with this tantalizing lead, no suspect has ever been identified. The murders of Russell and Shirley Dermond remain unsolved, a dark chapter in the history of Lake Oconee that refuses to be closed. As the investigation stretched on, the ripples of the crime spread far beyond the shores of Lake Oconee. The case caught the attention of law enforcement agencies across the country, and even internationally. In an unexpected turn, detectives from London's Metropolitan Police reached out to their Georgian counterparts, offering assistance and expertise. The involvement of British law enforcement sparked curiosity and speculation. Why would a police force from across the Atlantic take an interest in a double murder in rural Georgia? Rumors circulated that the Dermonds might have had connections to the UK, or that the killer could be a British national. However, these theories remained unsubstantiated, and the true reason for London's interest in the case was never fully explained to the public. Despite the international attention, the mystery of the Dermond murders continued to deepen. The brutality of the crime, coupled with the apparent lack of motive, led some to speculate that it might have been the work of a serial killer. Others suggested it could have been a targeted hit, perhaps related to some unknown aspect of the Dermonds' past. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, maintained that they were pursuing all possible leads, but as the years passed, the trail grew colder. The case file grew thicker, filled with interviews, forensic reports, and countless theories, but concrete answers remained elusive. For the residents of Lake Oconee, the unsolved murders cast a long shadow over their community. The area, once known primarily for its natural beauty and as a peaceful retreat for retirees, now carried the weight of this unsolved crime. Real estate agents found themselves fielding uncomfortable questions from potential buyers about the safety of the area. Local businesses saw a temporary dip in tourism as the lake's reputation shifted from idyllic to infamous. Yet, Even as life in Lake Oconee slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy, the memory of Russell and Shirley Dermond lingered. Their names became synonymous with the dark undercurrent that can exist even in the most seemingly perfect places. The case also had a profound impact on the law enforcement community in Georgia. It served as a stark reminder of the challenges faced by rural police departments when confronted with complex, high-profile cases. In the years following the murders, there was a push for increased training and resources for smaller law enforcement agencies, better equipping them to handle major crimes. As the investigation dragged on, it took its toll on the investigators as well. Detectives who had worked the case from the beginning spoke of sleepless nights, haunted by the brutality of the crime and the elusive nature of the killer. Some retired or moved on to other departments, carrying with them the weight of the unsolved case. The Dermond family, too, continued to grapple with the loss of Russell and Shirley, and the frustration of not knowing who was responsible for their deaths. They made periodic appeals to the public for information, holding on to hope that someone, somewhere, held the key to solving the mystery. In an era of advanced forensic technology and data analysis, the Dermond case stood out as a perplexing anomaly. How could a crime of such violence, committed against a well-known couple in a close-knit community, remain unsolved for so long? The case became a subject of study for criminology students and a point of fascination for true crime enthusiasts around the world. Documentaries were made, books were written, and podcasts dedicated entire series to dissecting every aspect of the case. Each new piece of media brought a fresh wave of attention and tips, but none led to a breakthrough. As the years passed, the Lake Oconee community found ways to honor the memory of Russell and Shirley Dermond. A small memorial garden was planted near the lake, a quiet place for reflection and remembrance. Annual events were held to keep the case in the public eye and to remind everyone that this search for justice continued. The discovery of new DNA evidence in 2024 brought a renewed sense of hope. Advanced genetic genealogy techniques, which had helped solve other cold cases across the country, were applied to the Dermond case. Investigators painstakingly built family trees and searched for potential matches, hoping to finally put a name to the killer. Yet, even with this promising lead, the case remained frustratingly opaque. The DNA didn't match any samples in existing criminal databases, and the genealogical research failed to produce a clear suspect. It was as if the killer had managed to exist outside the vast web of genetic and digital information that usually makes it so difficult for criminals to hide in the modern world. As the investigation entered its second decade, a new generation of detectives took up the mantle, determined to bring closure to the case that had become a defining moment in their department's history. They approached the evidence with fresh eyes, re-interviewing witnesses and re-examining old leads. The murders of Russell and Shirley Dermond remain unsolved, a testament to the limits of modern investigative techniques and a reminder that some mysteries persist despite our best efforts to unravel them. The case continues to haunt Lake Oconee, a dark chapter in its history that refuses to be closed. For those who remember the Dermonds, for the investigators who have dedicated years to the case, and for a community forever changed by one act of inexplicable violence, the search for answers goes on. In the quiet moments when the lake is still and the Georgia night is dark, the question still lingers: who killed Russell and Shirley Dermond, and why? Until those questions are answered, the mystery of Lake Oconee will endure, a chilling reminder that even in the most peaceful of places, darkness can lurk just beneath the surface.